The German army didn't ease into World War II. It detonated onto the global stage. In just a matter of months, some of Europe's most established military powers collapsed with, well, truly shocking speed. Armies that had spent decades preparing for another long, grinding conflict suddenly found themselves outmaneuvered, outpaced, and outthought. This wasn't because Germany had endless resources or unbeatable weapons. It was because they fought war differently. And for a brief, dangerous moment, it worked terrifyingly well. Welcome to Hidden Histories WWII, where we peel back the layers and expose what really powered history's most misunderstood moments. War reimagined from the ground up. The German army entered World War II with a philosophy that felt almost rebellious compared to its rivals. Instead of rigid hierarchies and slow decision-making, German forces were built around flexibility. Commanders at lower levels weren't treated like messengers. They were decision-makers. If orders stopped coming, action didn't. Officers were trained to understand the intent of a mission, not just the instructions. This meant units could adapt instantly to changing conditions. While enemy forces waited for permission, German units exploited openings without hesitation. This culture of initiative created momentum, and in warfare, momentum is everything. Speed wasn't just a tactical choice for the German army, it was a psychological weapon. Attacks were designed to move so fast that defenders never had time to organize a proper response. Instead of frontal assaults against strong defenses, German forces targeted weak points. Once a breakthrough happened, armoured units pushed deep into enemy territory, bypassing resistance rather than getting bogged down by it. Infantry, artillery, engineers, and armour moved as a single coordinated force. The result was chaos behind enemy lines. Supply routes vanished, communication collapsed. Units were surrounded before they realized they were in danger. Battles were often decided before defenders even understood the scale of the attack. The German army placed enormous emphasis on training long before World War II began. Soldiers weren't just drilled to follow orders, they were trained to think under pressure. So, exercises focused on real battlefield conditions were, absolutely essential. There were live-fire drills and rapid maneuvers, all designed to simulate the chaos of real combat. Combined operations became the norm. Units trained together extensively, building trust and coordination that, really paid off once the fighting started. Officers led from the front, not from a distance. This approach built loyalty and confidence within units. When conditions deteriorated, soldiers trusted their leaders to adapt and survive. That trust translated into discipline under fire, something, honestly, many opposing forces struggled to maintain in the early years. One of the most overlooked strengths of the German army was actually how seamlessly it coordinated with air power. Aircraft weren't used randomly or independently. Instead, they were integrated directly into ground operations. Enemy strongpoints were struck just as ground units advanced. Bridges were destroyed at critical moments. Command centers were neutralized before they could react. This precision timing magnified the effectiveness of ground forces and shattered enemy morale. Soldiers on the receiving end felt exposed everywhere. There was no safe rear area, no moment to regroup. The battlefield became a constant state of pressure, and pressure breaks armies faster than losses alone. Rapid movement is useless without supply, and early in World War II, the German army managed logistics with surprising efficiency. Supply units were trained to move quickly and improvise solutions on the fly. Captured enemy equipment was often reused. Fuel, vehicles and weapons were pressed into service almost immediately. Railways and depots were seized intact whenever possible, keeping the advance rolling forward. This flexibility allowed German forces to sustain momentum longer than many of their opponents expected. While enemy planners assumed pauses and delays, the German army kept coming. The psychological impact of the German army cannot be overstated. Speed, coordination, and relentless pressure created a sense of inevitability. Many enemy units surrendered not because they were destroyed, but because they believed resistance was pointless. Encirclements spread panic. Rumours outran reality. Entire fronts collapsed as fear travelled faster than any tank column. The reputation of the German army became a weapon in itself, amplifying its combat power far beyond raw numbers. In war, belief shapes outcomes, and early on, belief favoured Germany. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. The German army's strengths relied heavily on experienced leadership, constant movement, and steady supply. As World War II dragged on, these advantages eroded. Veteran officers were killed or exhausted. Fuel shortages grew severe. Replacement soldiers lacked the same depth of training. Enemies adapted, studied German methods, and countered them with overwhelming industrial power. Germany was exceptional at winning fast wars, but, it was catastrophically unprepared for a long one. The effectiveness of the German army in World War II isn't a story of admiration. It's really a lesson in how innovation, training, leadership and mindset can temporarily overcome larger forces. Modern militaries still study these campaigns, not to copy them blindly, but to understand how adaptability and decentralized command can, reshape battlefields. At Hidden Histories WWII, we don't just tell you what happened, we explain why it worked, why it failed, and honestly, what it reveals about human conflict. If this story gave you a new perspective on World War II, make sure to subscribe to Hidden Histories WWII. And hey, share this video with someone who thinks history has already been fully told. Because, the most powerful stories are often the ones hidden beneath the surface.